Tonight's episode, America tried turning itself off and on again, then argued over the power button. It's the second week of the pumpkin spice shutdown. The Supreme Court began a culture war term. Texas troops are near Chicago, and a 211-mile mining road was greenlit through Alaska. Buckle up, this week was about power, who gets it, who keeps it, and who pays when it's used like a sledgehammer. As of October 8th, we're on day 8 of the federal shutdown. The Senate has failed 6 times to reopen the government. House Republicans passed a stopgap through November 21st. Senate Democrats want to extend ACA subsidies, but the White House says no. If your flight was delayed, you weren't imagining it. The FAA is slowing arrivals due to staffing shortages, causing thousands of delays. The administration suggested furloughed workers might not get back pay, a departure from past practice, implying federal paychecks need to learn personal responsibility. The Supreme Court opened its new term on October 6th, signaling skepticism towards Colorado's ban on conversion therapy for minors. If you didn't expect the court to rebrand medically discredited harm as protected speech, congratulations on your hopefulness. In Chicago, a protest led to gunfire by federal agents. The president federalized 300 Illinois Guard members, and Texas National Guard troops were seen staging nearby. The president then mused that Illinois' governor and Chicago's mayor should be in jail, a calming language for de-escalation. The Alaska Ambler Road Project, a 211-mile industrial road for critical minerals, got a presidential green light, with the U.S. government taking a stake in a Canadian mining firm. In Virginia and New Jersey's November governor races, polls shifted due to scandal and shutdown politics. Let's dive. Story 1. The Shutdown. Fiscal year 2026 began October 1st with no full-year appropriations. The House passed a continuing resolution on September 19th, but the Senate rejected it, insisting on extending enhanced ACA premium tax credits past December 31st. These credits help over 20 million people afford insurance, costing hundreds of billions over a decade. Republicans argue healthcare changes don't belong in a temporary funding bill, and that Democrats had months to handle subsidies separately. The White House suggested furloughed employees aren't automatically entitled to back pay, while House leaders said service members should get paid once the government reopens. Consequences: airports are slowing traffic, national parks are closed, and hundreds of thousands of federal workers face missed paychecks by October 15th. The counterargument: cramming unrelated policy into a must-pass bill creates hostages. Rebuttal: these subsidies are about the cost of living, and emergency actions justify comprehensive solutions. Metaphor: we're arguing whether to fill the gas tank while the car rolls downhill. Punchline: Washington found a new austerity, starving government while feeding drama. Story 2. Troops at Chicago's doorstep. On October 6th, the president federalized 300 Illinois National Guard members to protect federal staff amid protests. Texas shipped an additional guard at the president's request. Despite a federal judge blocking a similar move in Oregon, Texas Guard uniforms were photographed near Joliet. On October 4th, CBP agents shot a woman during a confrontation. On Wednesday, the president said the governor and mayor should be in jail, threatening the Insurrection Act. The administration argues local leaders can't safeguard federal operations. Opposition says it's federal overreach, looking like an occupation ordered from a campaign rally. Consequences: civil-military boundaries blur, and every cop or soldier becomes a spark in a powder room. Punchline: if your public safety plan starts with "call the cavalry," your next step better be a time machine to 1877. Story 3. The Supreme Court's new term. On October 7th, justices signaled they might treat conversion therapy for minors as protected speech. If they rule that way, bans in over 20 states are in jeopardy. Broader cases on presidential power, voting rules, and gun regulations also loom. Supporters of the Colorado law argue states regulate harmful medical practices, and calling something speech doesn't immunize it when delivered as licensed treatment to minors. The court's conservative response: government can't engage in viewpoint discrimination. Consequences: More litigation, confused parents, and marginalized kids told their humanity is a debate. Metaphor: this court asks if you can shout fire while selling matches. Punchline: remember when do no harm was a medical standard, not a First Amendment loophole? Story 4: Ambler Road. On October 6th, the president approved reviving the 211-mile road across Alaska's interior to the Ambler Mining District, directing agencies to reissue permits fast. The administration also took a 10% government stake in a Canadian company with claims in the district. Supporters cite critical minerals and national security. Opponents warn the road will fragment habitat, poison watersheds, and trade subsistence hunting for shareholder value. Counterargument for the road: decarbonization without metals is a fantasy. Counterargument against: trading one addiction for another by chewing up Arctic parks isn't progress. Consequences: litigation, a short-term market high, and a long-term policy hangover. Punchline: we nationalize the risk and privatize the late-stage capitalism, now with snow tires. Story 5: the Culture War Cabinet. The War Department investigated 300 employees for online commentary. Homeland Security compared Antifa to ISIS, and the Attorney General sparred over troop deployments. The official line is apolitical professionalism, but the unofficial vibe is a loyalty test. Fair counterargument: the military has speech rules. You sign up for constraints civilians don't. Rebuttal: rules shouldn't morph into ideological policing. Consequences: morale rot, more lawsuits, and a force that looks less like a nonpartisan institution and more like a campaign appendage. Punchline: if thank you for your service now comes with and please refrain from sarcasm online, we've learned nothing about troops or the internet. Down ballot polls check. In Virginia, Democrat Abigail Spanberger leads, but a scandal in the Attorney General race has Republicans smelling opportunity. In New Jersey, Republicans hope Latino voters could swing the governor race. Both November races are becoming off-year focus groups on Trump-era politics. Recap: limited government means limiting paychecks, law and order means importing troops, and parental rights means the Supreme Court may let therapists tell your kid their identity is a phase. We greenlit a road through wilderness for clean energy metals while threatening to stiff federal workers. The plot twist isn't that this happened, but how quickly the extraordinary is becoming normal. Here's your spark of hope. Gridlock is a pressure cooker. Paychecks due, airline delays, governors yelling, and an angry middle class are forces that push Congress into deals. Watch for a face-saving trade on ACA tax credits and a short funding patch. Watch whether courts limit guard deployments. If so, performative federalism gets expensive. Watch the Supreme Court's early opinions. If they swing a wrecking ball at state health regulations, the political backlash could write 1,000 campaign ads by November. Until then, keep your carry-on light, your expectations lower, and your sense of humor sharp. If America keeps rebooting itself every October, the least we can do is learn to save our work.